Yo, what's up? Another day, another dollar. We back here with another video. Decided, no camera. Decided to just put the all screen. Today we're gonna be discussing, UFC Seattle and also a potential main event for UFC London with Leon Edwards. But first, let's go over the new fights that were announced just now. They were announced earlier, but the UFC just made it official like a few minutes ago. And we got Henry Cejudo going against Song Yadong. You know, Henry Cejudo did say that he was going to go against a top 8 opponent. And I was thinking maybe Cheeto Vera. I was also thinking maybe we'll see like a Figueiredo Cejudo matchup. But we got Song Yadong. I think this is perfectly good match. I think this could be a good way for Henry Cejudo to kind of get himself back in a win column and maybe put himself as a contender for the title. If he gets another win after this. But this is also a good way for Song Yadong to kind of get up in the rankings. Cejudo's ranked number 7. Song Yadong's ranked number 8. In my opinion, I don't know why Cejudo is still even ranked at this point. The man barely fights, and he's only lost since he unretired. So I could see this going for Henry Cejudo. I think Cejudo's wrestling. I think his pressure, and I also like the way Cejudo strikes. I think it could definitely give Song Yadong some trouble. Song Yadong, he's coming off almost a year layoff since last time he fought, which was Peter Yan, which he got dominated. And Song Yadong's kind of have like a little. He's had a tricky road in his climb up to in bantamweight. In my opinion, I think Cheeto Vera should have won against him, and he's not had a good 2024. So I think this is a good bounce back fight for Song Yadong. He's going against kind of an aging Cejudo. Got humiliated by Barab. He lost against Aljamain Sterling. And Cejudo's kind of been on a downward trend. He hasn't really fought that much. He's getting up there in age. He's considering retirement. He's considering going even down to flyweight and maybe challenging Pantoja, which honestly is the dumbest matchup you can make. And I was really surprised, Cejudo taking on Song Yadong. I thought he was going to go against maybe Cheeto Vera. Then maybe he would go against Figgy for that maybe like former flyweight champ in bantamweight now. And this is a good one. I think Song takes this. If I were to make a prediction right now, I'd have Song Yadong by knockout or by decision. I think this is the main event, so it might be 5 rounds. So I could see that favoring Cejudo. Since he is a slow starter, see that he gets better and better as the rounds go on. And even though Merab did really well against him, Cejudo was still kind of wobbled, and he almost knocked out Merab. So I think Cejudo still got that dog in him. Still a very good fighter, which is a lot of people kind of doubt that. They don't really respect Cejudo. But I think Cejudo's still a good fighter. He is still one of the best wrestlers in bantamweight. And I see that wrestling giving Song Yadong some problems. I think the pressure Cejudo could put on in the later rounds could give Song Yadong some trouble. This is one of the things. If this was a 3-rounder, I think Song Yadong would take this easily. But I think one thing about Henry Cejudo, he gets better and better as the fight goes on. And he has really good cardio. So I do see that as trouble for Song Yadong, but at the same time, I just don't think Cejudo's really that same guy anymore, The reign he had and the years he had when he was champion, he was one of the best fighters we've seen. But it's clear age is getting up to him. He's not really interested in he doesn't have that hunger that Song Yadong has, right? So I think this could be a decision win for Song Yadong. I think Song Yadong is gonna put the pressure on him. He's gonna do way better than Cejudo in the striking, and maybe he might score a knockout. I don't know for sure if he might, but I think Song Yudong could definitely give Cejudo a ton of problems. In a 5 rounder, I don't doubt either of these guys are going to go gas out. I mean, Song Yudong got good cardio. Cejudo has good cardio as well. But I think this is a great bounce back fight for both of these fighters. You know, they're both coming off losses. Both haven't fought in a year. And they're both top 10 contenders, you know. And I'd have Song Yudong for this. I think Song Yudong is super underrated, massively underrated. You know, Peter Yan kind of took away some of the hype Song Yudong had, but I think this is a really good fight. Something that I'm very much looking for. This is a great main event for UFC Seattle. And I think it's going to be a very fun and entertaining fight. I think both these guys have a good chance of winning this. I don't see Cejudo getting counted out as easily. I think a lot of people just don't respect Cejudo the way he was. You know, he's kind of cringe, you know, triple cringe, right? But Song Yudong, he could definitely put a ton of pressure. He could definitely get him with the striking. But Cejudo definitely has the advantage in the wrestling. He's still a very good fighter. He gets better and better as he goes on. And I think in terms of experience, I think Cejudo triumphs that. You know, Cejudo's been in a lot of 5 rounders. He's competed with the best of the best and won against the best of the best in 5 rounders. So, I mean, I think this is a good one. I'm taking Song Yudong just because I think, you know, he's the younger guy. He's the more hungry guy. I think the athleticism, the striking is going to get Cejudo trouble. If it's 5 rounds, maybe Cejudo may like kind of bounce back a bit, maybe put that pressure on him, but I don't really see that as the biggest probable outcome. So I'm going to go Song Yudong with this one. And next, for the co-main event, we got Rob Font versus Dominic Cruz. I was not expecting this. I'm going to be real. I did not think that Rob Font was going to be fighting Cruz. I thought it was going to be Jose Aldo versus Dominic Cruz, which I thought would have been a way better fight, a fight that anyone and everyone would have wanted. But, you know, people are surprised. It's like it's the UFC's fault for not matchmaking this, but it's kind of clear that Dominic Cruz doesn't really want to fight Jose Aldo. He wants to retire on a win. I think Rob Font is that perfect guy to maybe give Dominic Cruz that last win he deserves. You know, Dominic Cruz, massive fall off, doesn't really have a good chin anymore. Can't really compete with the best of the best at Bantamweight anymore. So I think Rob Font, you know, I think it's a good competitive fight. Rob Font doesn't really have that knockout power. Kind of doesn't have that like power that would affect Dominic Cruz's chin. And I also see Dominic Cruz kind of doing this as like the retirement. I think retirement is very much possible for Dominic Cruz. I wouldn't be surprised, win or lose, if Dominic Cruz retired in this fight. And I think it would be a very emotional one because this is like one of the best bantamweights of all time. You know, retiring. And, you know, he's not going to fight anymore. He hasn't really fought in a long time. But, you know, this could be his actual retirement fight. And I think Font's the perfect guy for this. I think Font and Cruz would make a competitive match. I think Dominic Cruz has a good chance of winning this. Dominic Cruz is still very much a good fighter, but his chin has kind of limited, you know, him from being able to compete with the best of the best in this division. And I mean, we need to talk about something. I've been saying these are good fights, but we need to talk about the matchmaking for bantamweight because this is a very big issue. The problem is what I have with bantamweight matchmaking is the fact they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't know how these matchmakers keep fumbling these good ass matchups that any of these guys can do. I think the first complaint I want to say, I'm going off topic here, so if you want to skip this part, for sure I'll put in the description when I stop this rant. But first we need to start off with what I think is the biggest mismatch in history, and that has to be Umar versus Merab. I mean, I know I'm going on a whole rant. I'm talking about these new fights. I really want to get this point off because I wouldn't get this off anyways. Umar versus Merab is the dumbest title shot they've given anyone. We all know And, you know, all these Umar Dagestani fanboys are going to say, oh no, Umar's the best, Umar's the best, Umar's going to ragdoll Merab. I'm going to be real. What makes you convinced that Umar is going to do much to Merab? Here's the thing. Umar has not been tested against any competition. Come on, he got gifted Sandhagen, which honestly, Sandhagen's such a good striker, he's such a good fighter. But let's be real. Sandhagen hadn't fought in a year before then. He was coming off surgery, and Sandhagen has no wrestling. And that takedown threat that Sandhagen had limited his striking so much, and yet Umar still made it a close fight through all 5 rounds. Sandhagen won round 1, and all the next 4 rounds, Umar barely won. Yes, he outstrikes Sandhagen, but honestly, he couldn't really take down Sandhagen like that. And that's what surprised me in that fight. I thought Umar was actually going to ragdoll Corey Sandhagen. I thought he was going to go in there and maybe submit him within 2 rounds, 3 rounds, and then it somehow made it a close fight. Corey Sandhagen, you know, he showed up and he showed out, but I think it was one of his worst performances. And Umar didn't really impress me. You know, for getting such a huge jump up from not even fighting a ranked opponent ever to getting a title eliminator, it's just like his name kind of carries his privilege, you know. He's related to Khabib. Khabib has like a good pull within the UFC's matchmakers, and I think because of that name brand and, you know, the fact that he's a cousin of Khabib, he has the Nurmagomedov name. I think that's why we pushed him into that title picture so soon. And Merab's right. I think a lot of people are hating on Merab. They're underestimating him. Because tell me, when you look at Merab's resume and you look at Umar's resume, you wouldn't think Umar would dominate Merab. Who has Umar fought? Apart from Sandhagen and Barcelos. Barcelos is an unranked guy who's washed, who pretty much has no chin. And then we got Sandhagen, who's coming off a whole year layoff. He hasn't fought in a year. Sandhagen deserved that next title shot. I was saying this before, Cheeto did not deserve that at all. We don't know why. They were trying to revenge that loss that O'Malley had. But if I matchmaked it, I would have given Merab the first title shot, and I would have gave Sandhagen the next title shot. And maybe if Peter Yan won against Song Yadong, and Peter Yan won against Song Yadong and Figueiredo, so he would have got the title shot after, right? But Sandhagen, he took on Umar, and I mean, I respect that. He took on Nurmagomedov. No one was willing to take him on in the division, so I don't think it's Umar's fault, because nobody really wanted to fight him. But at the same time, Umar needed to actually justify a title shot. You can't just barely beat a number 2 guy, and then that justifies you getting a title shot over Peter Yan, who dominated Song Yadong. He dominated Figueiredo. He pretty much almost won against O'Malley, and he's only lost to former champs. And I think, you know, Merab's right. In my opinion, I thought the real title eliminator was Davison Figueiredo versus Peter Yan. Peter Yan deserved that title shot more than Umar. But let me just go on to say here, Merab is absolutely right. Umar did not deserve that title shot. And it's kind of crazy because Merab demanded that Umar fight, which a lot of people kind of just see like, oh, Merab's scared. Why would he be scared? You know? Umar was number 15 when Merab was pretty much the number 1 contender. And I guess it's like kind of it's kind of Merab's fault for not really fighting for the title, because, you know, Aljamain Sterling was the champion at that time. He didn't want to fight him. Kind of don't like that, because, like, come on, you're trying to become champion, but you won't fight the champion. Like, it's kind of your fault you're sitting out. But look at Merab's resume. Dominated Henry Cejudo. Dominated Sean O'Malley. 50-45 Peter Yan. He dominated Jose Aldo. And then he knocked out Marlon Moraes. I mean, his resume is stacked. He's on an 11-fight win streak. He hasn't lost in years. And he for sure deserved to become champion. I mean, Sean O'Malley got humiliated in that fight. But what really frustrates me is that how come people in the matchmaking industry are fumbling bantamweight. Bantamweight is one of the most stacked divisions, and they still keep making bullshit matchups like Font versus Cruz and Cejudo versus Yadong. In my opinion, Cejudo should not fight someone like Song Yadong. I think it's a good match. I think it's decent, but I could have done it better. Maybe Dana, if you're listening to me right now, if you're hearing me rant, let me tell you, I can matchmake these guys. You know? Give me like a matchmaking position. I know they probably don't pay that much, but I'm willing to take any money. Put me there. Because y'all are fumbling bantamweight. And then the fact that the Sandhagen versus O'Malley matchup has not been made is absolutely bonkers. But on the other note, I mean, it's like they don't really fumble these matchups like in featherweight, but it's always bantamweight where we make these shit matchups. Here's the thing. I don't blame them for putting Font against Cruz. I know Dominic Cruz did not want to fight Jose Aldo. He never wanted to. He was tugging Jose Aldo. He never moved up for a reason. Jose Aldo would destroy Dominic Cruz. And that's a fact. But at the same time, it's like they could have put Cejudo versus Cruz. The rematch. You know, last time Cruz fought Cejudo was on short notice. This would have been a great retirement fight for both Cejudo and Cruz. Both could have retired. And honestly, I think Song Yadong maybe deserved to fight someone like Figueiredo, you know? Because I think, like, that would have been a good one as well. You know, Figueiredo's fight down. I want Song Yadong to fight up. So, my opinion, they're fumbling the matchmaking. And speaking of Jose Aldo, I mean, okay, he dominates Jonathan Martinez, who was on I think a 7th fight? I think it was a 6th fight. He has 6-fight winning streak. He was one of the rising contenders. He was pretty much knocking out motherfuckers. And he was a number 14 ranked contender. Jose Aldo was coming out of retirement after losing badly to Merab. And people were doubting him. And then he goes on and puts on a masterclass performance. All 3 rounds dominated Martinez. And then he gets matched up with Mario Bautista. Like, what the fuck is that? And they robbed him, too. I thought Jose Aldo won that. And they robbed him. And now they're treating Jose Aldo with shit because they're not giving him the matchups he deserves. He is literally the best featherweight of all time. And he's just still destroying young and up-and-coming contenders while he's pretty much above the age of 40. So, you gotta reason with me here, you know? They gotta give Jose Aldo, like, give him someone like O'Malley. Maybe O'Malley would beat him, but he deserves that. Or give him someone like Cejudo. Or maybe we could have made Aldo versus Cruz. That would have been such a good matchup. That would have been the best main event they could have had for Seattle. But, end of rant here. I just came to just complain about the bantamweight matchmaking. Peter Yan is getting done dirty. The fact that Umar got a title shot before him. And I thought Peter Yan kind of deserved the title shot after dominating Song Yadong. And after dominating Figueiredo. I thought he deserved that next title shot. And even Merab said he deserved that next title shot. So, after Umar, I think after the winner of Umar versus Merab should fight Peter Yan. End of story. No Sean O'Malley rematch. I don't want to see an immediate Sean O'Malley rematch. That man only had one title defense against Cheeto. That doesn't make him a dominant champion. Have him fight Sandhagen for a title eliminator, for a bounce back win. And I think Sean O'Malley wins against Sandhagen. So, see, I'm making good matchups. Put me on your matchmaking list. I'll be in charge of bantamweight, bro. I love bantamweight. It's one of my favorite divisions. So, I don't know. They're fumbling the matchmaking. End of rant. That was like almost like 8 minutes worth of ranting. So, I'll just leave it there. Anyways, this is a good fight. I'm going to go with, I mean, this is tough. I'm going to go with Font. I think Font is going to put on a striking put on a striking display against Dominic Cruz. I think Dominic Cruz is out of his element here. He's clearly hasn't fought in a long time. I think Dominic Cruz is going to come in there with a ton of ring rust. He's not going to be the same guy. And I think it might be competitive as it goes into like rounds 2 and 3. But I mean, although I don't see Ralph Mount really chinning Dominic Cruz, it could definitely happen. Hits him with a good shot, maybe he knocks him out. And that'd be a horrible way for Dominic Cruz to retire. I wouldn't want to see that, but that's just the truth. I think that could happen. I think Font by knockout is definitely possible. But if I were to go safe, this is probably a 3-rounder. I'm going to go with Font by decision. I think Font's just going to outstrike Dominic Cruz. I think Dominic Cruz is not going to look as good. And it's just going to be a dominant win for Font. Rob Font, he put on a striking performance against Kyler Phillips. And it showed like he's still up there, you know. He still deserves to be top 10. So, for sure, I'm going to put him there. Next, got UFC London's main event. This is not official yet, but looks like Leon Edwards is fighting Jack Della Maddalena. At first, I thought it was going to be Kamaru Usman and JDM. But apparently, I think Kamaru Usman doesn't really want to fight JDM. He wants to wait more time. Looks like he's not recovered yet to fight in Sydney. So I think they're going to match him up against Leon Edwards, which I think is completely fine. A lot of people are calling for Buckley versus Edwards. I don't think that's the match to make. If I were to put Buckley against a top 5 opponent, it would be Kamaru Usman. We saw Buckley dismantle Colby's entire game plan, defend most of his takedowns, pretty much batter Colby to the ground, something Kamaru Usman couldn't really do. So, I think Buckley's a good opponent for Kamaru Usman. It's going to be a tough fight for Kamaru Usman. I think Buckley wins against Kamaru Usman, so it's a good match for him. I like this matchup. I like Leon Edwards fighting a striker. Let's be real. He got humiliated by Bilal Muhammad. Although it was still a close match because Leon Edwards did win 2 rounds. And he bloodied up Bilal more than Bilal. He did way more damage than Bilal, even though Bilal outstruck him. But Bilal got pillow hands. The man cannot fucking knock out a guy if he tried. So, I mean, he knocked out, I guess he TKO'd Sean Brady, but the man was still standing. So, I wouldn't really count that as a true knockout. But, you know, would say Bilal got hands like Canelo, but he don't got the power of Canelo, that's for sure. But I think this is a good matchup. I think people are massively underrating Leon Edwards here. But I do see JDM actually having a good competitive fight with Edwards, you know. I honestly think that Edwards' chin is questionable. The reason he hasn't been really knocked out yet is because, the people he's fought, like Nate Diaz was able to wobble him, but Leon Edwards was dominating Nate Diaz the whole entire time, and let's be real, Nate Diaz wouldn't have finished that fight even if he tried. But now we got JDM. He won against Gilbert Burns for his last match. It's been a year. I don't know why JDM doesn't really fight that much. Granted, like, neither does Leon, but at least Leon fought twice the past year. Not really, not twice. I think he fought 296 and 304, so I mean he doesn't really fight that often. It's like once or twice every year. And JDM's the same thing. This is a good match. I think people need to look at this and say this is a good one. And if this is going to be 5 rounds, I suggest that this is going to be a future this could be a potential fight of the year contender. Because, you know, Leon Edwards, he has really good striking. His distance management, his kicks, the way he counter strikes, it's so good. He was able to dismantle Kamaru Usman on the feet. He dismantled Colby on the feet. He dismantled so many others. And, you know, Bilal Muhammad was even though Bilal Muhammad did outstrike Leon Edwards, don't lie. If you actually watch that fight, Leon Edwards was still landing the better shots. And He did bloody up Bilal Muhammad at the end. I'm frustrated that he didn't do that in the fucking earlier rounds. But I think it goes to show like Leon Edwards is still very much one of the best strikers in this division. So this is a good fight because this actually got kind of this could definitely elevate JDM's names a lot. You know, a lot of people judge JDM for kind of fluking his way to a win against Gilbert Burns. You know, Gilbert Burns was taking him down, controlling him on the ground for like almost 2.5 rounds, and then JDM, just like got up and then he kneed Gilbert Burns and got a knockout. You know, when you watch that fight again, it's clear that Gilbert Burns was having trouble on the feet with JDM. So that knockout wasn't really that like fluky, but a lot of people were hating on Leon Edwards, and that's what I hate about this like MMA fan base. People will switch up on a fighter just because we lose once. Leon Edwards, let's just be clear, Bilal Muhammad kind of figured out Leon Edwards' game plan. He didn't really let him get in the zone. With the constant pressure and the takedowns, it was just clear that Leon Edwards was not able to really do much or do enough to get that win. You know, I think takedowns were too much for Leon Edwards. I think after when he got spiked on his head, it was clear like he was out of it. So like I'm curious to see like now we're going against someone who doesn't have good wrestling. You know, JDM doesn't have really good wrestling, and I think Leon Edwards' grappling is very much underlooked in here. It's overlooked here. I mean, it's overlooked here. He was close to submitting Bilal Muhammad. He was able to take down Kamaru Usman where nobody has been able to, not even Colby. He took down Colby. He was able to defend takedowns from Kamaru Usman, and Leon Edwards striking is really good. So if I were to choose right now, like my predictions right now, I would go Leon Edwards by decision. Here's the thing. JDM definitely has a chance to knock out or maybe TKO Edwards. I don't see that as a impossible thing. The problem is JDM going to find that opportunity? Is Leon Edwards going to use that striking to make sure that JDM never gets that momentum going, right? Because we've seen Edwards with his striking dismantle like the forward pressure styles of Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington. Leon Edwards can most definitely knock out somebody. The problem is he really doesn't try to go for a finish. He tries to outpoint people. But, you know, if need be, he can definitely do that 1-2 head kick and knock out a motherfucker, you know? He knocked out Kamaru Usman. He ended his 15 fight win streak. So, I mean, Leon Edwards is still very much good. He's still very much on. He could definitely become champion again. I just think that Leon Edwards needs to really change up his game plan when it comes to these fights. I think the fact is JDM is the best opponent for Edwards. I did not like Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady just because I think Sean Brady's wrestling would have been too much. I think if he was able to get taken down so easily by Bilal Muhammad, I think Sean Brady would have been a stylistic nightmare for Edwards, considering how Sean Brady did against Gilbert Burns. But JDM, pure striker. He's a pure boxer. Doesn't really have good wrestling. And Leon Edwards, very good kickboxer, has good kicks. Definitely is a very underrated in his grappling and his wrestling. He's able to take down two people who are the best wrestlers in the division. And he was able to take down Bilal Muhammad as well. I think Leon Edwards is getting super overlooked here. JDM's hype, it's high right now. He's knocking out people. He's on a 17-fight win streak. And I could see Edwards winning this. I think Edwards can most definitely give JDM some problems. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned about his chin. You know, Bilal Muhammad, Kamaru Usman has good power, but let's be real. I think Kamaru Usman was never going to knock out Leon Edwards even if he tried. So his chin is decent, but like if you hit Leon Edwards with a good shot like how Nate Diaz did, like it kind of does give him some trouble with the wobble. But also at the same time, that was round 5. Leon Edwards was dominating Nate Diaz, and then Nate Diaz got one good shot in, and Leon Edwards was able to recover very, very quick. So for JDM to knock out Leon Edwards is definitely a possibility, but I don't really see this being like a guaranteed outcome. If I were to say right now, I have Leon Edwards by decision. I'm going to go 49-46. I think JDM's going to have a good first round or 2 rounds, but I think Leon Edwards in the later rounds might be able to expose JDM, maybe mix in that wrestling. I would love to see Leon Edwards use that wrestling. Madalena, he's not really good in that wrestling. He was getting taken down multiple times by Gilbert Burns. I think Leon Edwards has the grappling to be able to give Madalena some problems. And, in the later rounds, I think that could be a tool for him to use. This is a good matchup for Edwards. I like this matchup. I wouldn't have Sean Brady fight Edwards. I would have Sean Brady fight maybe fight down somewhere, kind of solidify his post, defend his top five contendership. And I'd have Madalena fight Edwards. That is the perfect matchup I want to see because, Edwards, I don't want to feed him another wrestler. I want to see him get another win. I want to see him kind of defend his number 1 contendership. And Edwards, perfect guy for this. He's a striker. He's a boxer. He has no wrestling, It's like, I think this is a good one. I love this matchup. And let's be real, I think Madalena would have lost to Kamaru Usman. Sorry, it's true. He would have lost. Kamaru Usman is still one of the best wrestlers of all time. I think he would have dominated Madalena and exposed him. I think a lot of people were kind of overhyping JDM. I'm not saying JDM isn't good. He is still really good. He has knockout power. He's a great striker. His wrestling just... There needs to be more. There needs to be more in that department. Gilbert Burns was dominating him on the ground, and JDM was able to get the knockout, but I think if he didn't get that knockout, Gilbert Burns would have won that. So, I have Leon Edwards here. I think I wouldn't be surprised if JDM won this, to be honest, but I don't see JDM really winning this on a decision. I think he would have to knock out Leon Edwards, and no one has been able to do that. People are, I think people kind of look at that Nate Diaz win and say, oh man, Leon Edwards has no chin. Let's be real. Nate Diaz was not going to finish Leon Edwards, bro. I'm going to say this for all the Nate Diaz fanboys over here, all the Leon Edwards haters. Nate Diaz wasn't even fucking close. He got dominated by Leon Edwards, and he got pillow hands. I'm not saying this as a Nate Diaz hater. I am saying this to show you motherfuckers that just because you saw that knockout, just because you saw him a little bit wobbled on reels and you think, wow, Nate Diaz almost knocked him out, but he posed for the pick. Oh my god, he's so good. If Nate Diaz would have won if there were more rounds, he would have won if there was no time limit. Oh, but that man was not winning that fight even if he kept pressuring him, bro. I think Leon Edwards would have found a way out, and he recovers quick. I mean, Leon Edwards got a chin on him. People hit him with some hard shots. He got a chin on him, and people couldn't hit him with his hard shots even if he tried, I think JDM is not going to really have that opportunity, especially against Leon Edwards. But if I were to give my keys to victory to either of these guys, for Leon Edwards, keep the distance. Put that pressure on him. Use the kicks effectively. Use the teeps. Use the front teeps. Use the head kicks. Use the leg kicks. Use these things as a way to limit JDM's movement, to keep him away. Because JDM, he can put that pressure on you. So, I think Leon Edwards does really good in keeping that distance, using his kicks really well. Colby could barely get started with his pressure wrestling because Leon Edwards was giving those teeps, was giving those kicks to the body. He was never giving Colby a chance. That's why Colby did so bad, And let's be real, he let Colby take him down. He just wanted to do some wrestling, kind of practice his wrestling on Colby. And Colby's washed, so. And also, I think Leon Edwards got to mix up that grappling too, Maybe go for a takedown. Go absolutely for a takedown, I doubt JDM's wrestling. I think it's a weak point for him. He might train that. I doubt he will against Edwards, but it's MMA. They have to train everything, so of course they're going to train the wrestling. But Edwards for sure has better grappling than JDM. So, my opinion, try to mix up the styles a bit. go with the striking, and then maybe in the later rounds or maybe earlier, just try to get some rounds in and win some rounds based on control time. In terms of experience, in terms of striking, Edwards has the edge. JDM has that knockout power. He can most definitely wobble Edwards if he gets a good shot in, but I'm not trying to count JDM out, but against some guy like Leon Edwards, who's pretty much one of the best strikers in this division, I think it's gonna be a struggle. For JDM, if I were to give my keys to victory, I'd say go on that acceleration. Put your foot on the pedal, put that pressure on him. Leon Edwards, don't get him started on the kicks. Keep putting that pressure. Use that boxing effectively, like Bilal Muhammad did. Use that boxing to kind of put Leon Edwards on that back foot. And, hit him with not hard shots, We've never seen Edwards get tested with his chin, Barely gets hit. And, Bilal Muhammad wasn't a good example. Colby and Kamaru Usman don't have power like that. So, I think JDM could definitely be a threat to Edwards. And, I'd say for Madalena, it's most likely use that boxing, use that pressure on him. Leon Edwards, he falters every time people put that pressure on him with Bilal Muhammad. Kamaru Usman was using the wrestling and the forward pressure, and that's how was losing that second match. Put that pressure on him. Leon Edwards it's like Israel Adesanya's fight style. When you put pressure on Israel Adesanya, you put him on that back foot. He never really gets started. He never is able to use all his tools in his inventory, and as a result, it kind of limits his striking. Do that for Leon Edwards. If I were JDM, I would definitely put all on the front pedal, put that pressure on him, keep maintaining that posture, use the boxing effectively. Get in there, throw hands with the guy. Try to go for his face, take his head off. That is the best way to get Edwards off, And if he does that, he has a very good chance of knocking out Leon Edwards and outstriking him as well. So this is a good fight, good stylistic matchup between these two guys. The season is like, they fumble the Bantamweight match makes, but this is actually a good one. A lot of people are not liking this. They want JDM to fight Usman, but I think Usman would have exposed JDM. But Leon Edwards, he's a striker. I think JDM will definitely he can prove himself really well against him, So if I were to go with my pick, I said Leon Edwards by decision. I think that's still very much a possibility, but if JDM is able to put that pressure on him, and he will probably do that. He will probably take some notes from Bilal's handbook, keep the boxing on him, try to hit him some hard shots. So I'm gonna go with. It hurts to say I'm a Leon Edwards fan. I love Leon Edwards. Pride of Birmingham, most aesthetic man on the planet. But if I were to go with one guy and bet on him, I would go JDM. JDM's young and up and contender. He has good power. He definitely has the boxing style and the pressure that could definitely limit Edwards, and he has the power to knock him out. So I'm gonna go with Jack Della Maddalena by knockout. And if I were to say which round, I'd say rounds 2 to 4. Around those times, I think he could get a knockout in. If I were to go really specific, I'd say round 4. Anyways, in round 4 or round 5, just because I think Leon Edwards kind of, when he gets put on that pressure, kind of gives up a little and gasses out a bit. So I think that's like the prime time for JDM to put that finishing blow on Edwards. So I'm going to go JDM by knockout. That's my final pick. Hurts to say it, I love Edwards, but this is a good matchup for him, but also the worst matchup. JDM's just a hungry guy, he wants that title. So, and he's definitely he has momentum, he has hype around him, he has a huge fan base. So I'm gonna go with JDM by knockout, round 5. Anyways, that's all. Bye.